Hey everybody, welcome back to our channel. Today we're going to be talking about how we use our cash envelopes for our sinking funds. Let's get started. So if you've watched our videos before, welcome back. If not, welcome to our channel. You might want to go back and take a look at our bullet journal flip through to see how we have set up our bullet journal. I'll go ahead and link it up here in the right hand corner. But if you have seen our sinking funds and are curious to figure out how much we put into it each month, today in this video we are going to break down what we use for sinking funds, what we don't use for sinking funds, and how we decide how much money goes in to all of those funds each month as well. So this is one example of a layout that we have for our sinking funds. You might have seen in our other videos also that we do it a little differently each month. We also have some that are laid out for our annual bill tracker as well. So we track it a few different ways here in the bullet journal, but today's not going to be as much about the bullet journal as it is about figuring out what we are going to be using each category for. So I'm going to go ahead and move this off to the side, zoom you guys in, and show you a few different charts that we have for our sinking funds. So the 4 different categories or sections that we use sinking funds for in our house are household, continual, wants, and vacations. I know some people don't often go on vacations during their debt-free journey. We had some prior commitments before we decided to go on to this journey, so we actually still go on vacations. We'll talk about this one a little bit later, but we're going to focus on these 3 main categories first to figure out what would go into each of these and how we figure out what we put into our envelopes each month. So let's start with household first. Sinking funds to some people can be a little bit confusing and they might do it a little bit differently than how we do it. But what we do is our household are all the things that are due once a year. Things that we know are going to end up coming that we have to save for and that we are able to put a little bit away each month in order to meet that end goal. So things, for example, our first one is our AAA membership. It is $76 a year and it is due in January. Our next one is our car registration number 1 is $145 and it is due every February, and so on. So what we like to do is we put a little bit of money each month into an envelope so that by the time we get to January, we're not trying to scrounge up for $76. We already have it in the envelope. We can take that cash out, put it into the bank, write the check, and send it off. So for a few things, we started in November, and here it'll say what our start date was, when it was due, and how many months we had in order to save. Now, some things like our bigger things, we save for longer, and some of our smaller things, we only save 3 months or 4 months out. So we have our $76 for 3 months. We split that up, so we only needed to save $25 a month. For our car registration number 1, we saved $36 a month. For car registration number 2, we saved $33 a month for 10 months. And then onto our renter's insurance, same type of thing. We started in February, it's due in July. So that's 6 months in between, so we only had to save up $15 a month. So you can see some of the things we saved for longer and some of the things we saved for only 3 months. Now it's nice now that we have this written out that we know, okay, once November comes around, we need to add our AAA membership back in. But at that point too, we won't have our renter's insurance or Amazon Prime. We won't start those things again until February because $15 and $20 a month is something that's very reasonable for us to do. We don't feel like we have to break it apart all the way from July to July and split it into 12 months. Some people do it that way, and that's fine if that works for you. But for us, we know that as long as we start by this day, these prices are small enough that we'll be able to save up all of that money by the time it is due. So that's what we use for our household. We do things that come out once a year, not once a month, and then we just keep track of those envelopes. And then by that time that start date comes back around, we'll start saving for each of those categories. Our next category are our wants. This is set up very similar to the very last page that you guys just saw, but these are things that typically we could go without if we aren't able to make our monthly payment into that envelope. That would be okay. We would survive without these things, but these are our goals for our envelopes for each month. These are typically a little bit more money each month just because we don't start for a longer time. Maybe in the future, once we have kids and we have more of these things to save up for, we might make this a yearly thing as well. But for right now, with my husband and I, we are just doing these as our wants. So for our first thing that we have is our anniversary. Our anniversary is in July. We started saving for it in May. We predicted about a $300 amount for our anniversary this month. So we're going to save up for 3 months. It'll be $100 away into that cash envelope or that sinking fund envelope for the next 3 months. Same thing with birthdays. His birthday is in November, mine is in December. These are the months that we're going to start saving, and we'll save $50 a month just for 2 months. Next, we have Christmas. Our Christmas gifts is just what we give to each other. We typically, these last few years, have only been doing stockings for each other, really trying to push and pay off some of that debt. So we haven't been doing big Christmas gifts, so we just are doing $100 each, so $50 for 4 months, and we'll start saving for that in September. And the same thing, our Christmas spirit, these are things like buying our Christmas tree and a few decorations. We have some stuff saved up. Our apartment isn't very big, so we don't need a lot right now. So just $100 for that for 4 months, and we'll do $50 a month for that time. So these wants sometimes change. We add to different things. For example, if there is a trip planned or a bachelorette party or anything that is not specifically something that needs to happen, but if we want it to happen and we're able to fit it into our budget, we'll add it to these lines as well. You might see different things pop up on our Plan With Us journal. So if you have watched that video, you might see some different things that we save for, such as weddings or different parties, and we'll add that to our want list as well. Next, we have our continual sinking funds. These are things that don't technically have a due date, but something that's almost like preventative for some of these, and just something that happens each month. We know it's going to be there, and something that we use cash for. So in our continual category, some things that are due each month, we don't cash flow. We don't put things into sinking funds. We don't use our cash envelopes for those things. Those things such as our actual car payment that's due each month, our phone bill, car insurance, those are things that we have already planned and budgeted for in our bank account, things that we use our paychecks for that we don't cash flow. So some of those things that you think, hey, I do those things each and every month, if you do cash only, you might want to add it to this list as well. But if you are like us and we don't use our cash envelopes for monthly things that happen, like monthly grocery runs or anything like that, then you can do it this way. So these are things that we do cash for and things that we save for each month. So each month we do things like a church offering. So we put $80 into that envelope each month. Car maintenance, there's no due date for that. We're hoping that we don't have to use it. Last time we used our car maintenance was when my husband went and got both of our cars an oil change. So we just put $25 a month into there, and then hopefully that's enough for right now. We might need to bump this up later because if things like tires or something happened, we might not have enough yearly in there, but we just put $25 in for car maintenance for like oil changes, stuff like that. We put $20 into our envelope each month for doctor copays, but right now we have enough in there that we don't do that each month. We kind of have a good supply that if we needed to go to the doctors and pay $20, we have enough in there right now. So sometimes if we see that that's coming up or running low, then we'll start that back up again. And we just recently added this clothing fund, $25 a month. We're putting that into it. We don't really have any fun money that's just just ours right now because we're really trying to be gazelle intense. But these $25 a month going into an envelope, and then when we need to buy something new, we will be able to do that. So here are some ideas for continual sinking funds, something that there's not technically a due date, but you want to be putting money aside because you know you're going to have to end up paying money at some point. This could also include things like haircuts or other nail appointments if you do that kind of stuff during your debt-free journey as well. And the last category that we use are sinking funds for our vacations. Now, I know this is kind of a controversial topic, and when you're going on your debt-free journey, some people believe that you shouldn't be going on vacation at all. Some people think that we should still be able to go out and do those things. We are one of those people as well. So we had a few things planned prior to starting our debt-free journey. That's why when you saw our bullet journal layout, you saw something for Nashville, something for Hawaii. So we already had those things planned out. And so we decided to continue on with those plans even though we're on our debt-free journey. Also, my husband's family is not here from California. They live in a different state, so flying back and forth, we do that around Christmas time, and so that's something that we'll be saving for as well. So when we do vacations, we do them in a few different ways. We do the same type of categories, but for vacation style. So flights, spending money, any excursions you're going to be doing on that vacation, and so on. So if you know that you have a vacation coming up, you can be saving for things such as your flights, your spending money, and your excursions. You could just write down when you're going to be taking your vacation, how many months away that is, when you're going to start, and the amount that you're going to be saving each month. Now, if you guys are interested in any of these little layouts, I did create this as a little free Google Doc that you are able to make a copy of. The link for those are in the description box below if you would like to use that to help plan out your sinking funds as well. So now I'm going to show you a few of the envelopes that we have been using to help save our sinking funds and what that looks like with our bullet journal. So going back to our bullet journal, here we have one of our sinking fund pages. We have our Hawaii fund money. This is the spending money that we will be using while we're in Hawaii. And we have a vacation envelope that goes with that as well. So in this envelope right now, we have our $688. Our goal for this fund money is $1,000. So we have a few more months to get there in order to meet that goal, and then we will be taking this money with us. We usually put the cash back into our bank account and just use our debit card throughout the trip in order to track our spending as well. But then at least we have that $1,000 there set ready to go so that our vacation isn't costing us more than what it would be if we were just going and putting everything onto a credit card. Here are a few of the other envelopes that we have for our sinking funds. We have our car maintenance. Here we have our envelope for Amazon Prime. We have our church envelope. We have our clothing envelope for myself and my husband. We also have our renter's insurance and then that vacation envelope that I just showed you. So this is just an example of the envelopes that we have. It's not necessarily all the envelopes. Our monthly budget changes each month. We have our budget meeting. We sit down to say, okay, what are our sinking funds that we need to start saving for? What's coming up? What are we missing? What are we using in our budget that we typically don't plan for? So this is always changing. This is just what works for us. This is how we use our sinking funds. If you would like to follow along with us weekly, filling in some of those charts, you can also follow us on our Instagram page as well. We like to do stories on there filling in some of these charts. If you have any questions about sinking funds or how you should be setting up your sinking funds, please just ask them in the comment section below and I will get back to you as soon as possible. I hope you guys have enjoyed this information. If you'd like to use the chart down below to help you plan for your sinking funds, feel free to do that as well. Hope you guys have a wonderful week and I will see you in our next video. Have a great week.